Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. I am Council Member Brandon Johnson. The mayor is at a forum out of town, and you are all stuck with me now this morning. The mayor has asked each week to promote mental health resources, and first up, I definitely want to invite Eric from the Mental Health Association of South Central Kansas to share some tips and resources to support our mental health. So, Eric, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Councilman. So today I want to talk a little bit about the concept of the mental health check-in. You know, the news reminds us every time there's a heat wave or after a storm or something to check in on your neighbors. But the mental health check-in is just as important whenever we notice changes in the behavior of close friends or family members. So I want to talk today about kind of what that mental health check-in might look like. The first thing is, if you're worried about someone who's important to you, and if you care enough about them to even ponder the question, then you're probably entirely justified in making the effort to have this conversation. So start by creating a setting where it's clear to the other person that they are your destination. They're not a stop along the way to lunch or to your next meeting. Find a room, close the door, put away the phones, sit down, get comfortable because you may be there for a while. Look them in the eye. Make the demonstration to them that they are your sole focus for as long as it takes and that nothing is going to get in the way of your conversation. And then once you've done all that, you have to ask the most important question, which is, how are you? It sounds simple because it is simple, and you don't have to be a therapist or a psychiatrist or a social worker to ask someone how they are. And when you ask that question and you do so in the right environment, people tend to be unerringly honest because it's likely that they wanted to get something off of their chest and really didn't know who to talk to or how to initiate that conversation. So generally, they're going to be very pleased that you did. But bearing that in mind, you're going to need to be in a headspace to be able to hear what they might say. If they're going to be honest with you, they might hear things that you weren't prepared for, that you weren't comfortable with, but you made that setting, you're speaking to that person, they need to get something off their chest, and you have the opportunity to be there for them. So once you're hearing that information, then the next thing is you have to know how best to respond to it. Do you know who your local mental health care providers are in town? Do you know what programs they offer? Do you know how to reach them? Do you know where they're located? Do you know the crisis response services that are available here in Wichita as well as nationally? If you hear that they have had thoughts of harming themselves, or worse yet, have a plan on how to do so, do you have the time to drive them to go get help or to stay with them until you can get them to a healthcare provider? You need to learn that information now before you need it, and be the friend who isn't afraid to check in with those you love. And yes, there is the risk that you'll be wrong. Maybe they're fine. Maybe you misinterpreted the signs. But wouldn't you rather ask and be wrong than to not ask and be right? Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I think those were some really good points. And again, just remembering that human connection and having those conversations. I have personal experiences where that was the case as well, and I can't harp on that enough to have those conversations, put those devices down and talk to each other, and your kids too. Our kids are going through a lot of different things than we went to when we were growing up, and social media is a really big factor, and having that time at home where you put those phones down, get off of those devices and have that conversation and check in with your children and see how they're doing. And if you are a grandparent or you just have those nieces and nephews, checking in with them and just seeing how they're doing, truly, because there may be some eye-opening things that you may hear. So definitely, again, appreciate all of those recommendations. Again, it's important to give people resources that help them in their time of need, and we always want to make sure they know where those things are when they're available. We also want to share details today about another program that our municipal court is offering for those who have may have been needing getting their license reinstated. A driver's license can be suspended for a variety of reasons in this state, including driving without insurance, driving under the influence, or having too many traffic violations. As of August of 2024, over 213,000 drivers in Kansas have suspended licenses, with about half of those in Sedgwick County and Wichita. Wichita Municipal Court has launched a new program called the Wichita Area Restoration Program, or WARP for short, to assist residents with getting their driver's licenses back after a suspension. So here to tell us more about this awesome program in municipal court is Administrator Nathan Emery. So, Nathan.
So the Wichita Area Restoration Program is a program that's really helps people with low-level driver's suspensions overcome the barriers to get a driver's license back. It doesn't provide legal assistance, but what it does do is provide clerical and administrative assistance. So what happens is if someone comes in who's got some driver's license issues, my staff members on the third floor will walk them through their public driving record, identify what's holding their license, and if those things holding their license are suspensions for not paying court costs or not handling a ticket, they will assist that individual with filling out motions for fee, fine, and cost forgiveness in the Wichita Municipal Court, but also in the Sedgwick County Traffic Court. What that does is really just reduce some of those barriers that might prevent someone from acting or being able to get that license back. In addition, a third service that is offered is that if a person qualifies, that staff member will assist them in applying to get a hardship license, which allows them to drive while they work on getting their license fully restored. Some folks have licenses and license problems that are bigger than what clerical and informational assistance can help, and those folks get referred to driver control or legal aid organizations. But we try to provide them the best information possible for them to be successful. Because anytime you can remove a barrier to someone getting their license back, it increases the chances that they'll be successful in getting that and help them be able to fully participate in our city. And I didn't say this, it's on the third floor of City Hall. Anyone can just walk in. You don't have to be involved in Wichita Municipal Court. If you've got something in Sedgwick County Traffic Court and you want to come in and see what's going on with your license, come on in. We're here to help you.
Thank you, Nathan. Our municipal court definitely goes above and beyond with assisting those trying to turn their life around, and Nathan has always done a wonderful job at what he does. And as we've talked about WARP over the years, I think when that first came up was maybe 2020, 2021. Nathan has just done a wonderful job in trying to help the community, and I know I annoy him sometimes with some of my emails, but he just continues to help people at a high level, and greatly appreciate all that you do, Nathan. So thank you. So next, let's talk about some street closures. In order to be responsive to some neighborhood concerns and some upticks in crime, we're making some changes in the museum district to discourage some problematic trends that we've been seeing. Due to increased safety and security concerns at Botanica, Sim Park, Arthur B. Sim Golf Course, and Old Cowtown Museum, beginning at 9 p.m. on Tuesday, October the 1st. Sim Park and the adjacent streets will be closed nightly from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. This step is being taken to further safeguard the park and museums and discourage unsafe activity in the park and surrounding neighborhood. The area has seen an uptick in reported cases of street racing and property crimes, and this step is being taken to discourage illegal activity and vandalism in the area. Signage will be posted along the Amadon Avenue and Museum Boulevard near the entrances to the park area, as well as near the west entrance of Botanica. Streets will not be closed for special events like illuminations. Illuminations is one of our community's most treasured holiday traditions, but before we get to Christmas season, we have some exciting Halloween events, some spooky Halloween events. If you're looking for some spooky fun, be sure to get tickets to Wicked Island. Our annual Haunted Island adventure kicks off this Friday, September 27th at 7:30 p.m. over at O.J. Watson Park. At Wicked Island, you'll enjoy 30 minutes of scares and a scary walkthrough, unforgettable thrills, and chills. This is presented by Plant Kingdom in partnership with Wichita Park and Recreation, and the attraction will be open through October the 31st. Go to wickedwoodswichita.com to learn more or purchase tickets ahead of time and reserve your spot. Children under 12 must be accompanied by an adult. And then finally, we all know the only thing spookier than Halloween right now is the drought. So thanks to some rain and some cooler weather, we are seeing lowered water usage this week at about 54 million gallons a day. At last week's highest use a day, a drop of 10 million gallons from the previous week. One thing we get asked is why we don't dredge Cheney when it's low, and our Director of Public Works always has great answers for that, but this is something that our expert engineers have looked into. And to excavate even 3 feet into the lake, it would cost about $110 million and only add about 1.4 months of use. So $110 million, 1.4 months of use. So that's why we haven't done that. It's highly expensive. And as we wrap up, I just want to thank everyone who is cutting back and working to help safeguard our shared resource and water. And with that, we will be happy to take any questions. I guess we knocked it out of the park. There's no questions. Skills of a former vice mayor, so mayor's in that title. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you next week.